like this? Good morning. Let's go ahead and take a moment now to energize our spirits with some prayer. So I encourage you to just relax, breathe, and center in your heart. Father, Mother, God, Spirit, Universe, in this moment, we are showing up with open minds, open hearts, and humble spirits. And we are longing for peace in this world. And accordingly, in this moment, in this prayer, we boldly claim and affirm and expect to receive all we need to be beacons of light and peace on this earth. Where there is chaos, we can say, I am divine order. Where there is hate, we can say, I am love in expression. Where there is anger, we can say, all is forgiven. Where there is darkness, we can say, I am the light. And where there is unrest, we can say, peace, be still. Father, Mother, God, Spirit, Universe, we are grateful for being empowered to be peacemakers in this world. And thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Amen.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Unity of Boulder. Those of us who are joining us here in person and those of us who are joining us online, we're always happy to share some time with you every Sunday, so we appreciate you joining us here at Unity of Boulder. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Mike Shadle. I'm the administrator here. Any questions or comments you may have, come see me. My name's right over here my office is right over here in the bookstore, so I'm always around. I also handle building rentals and space rental here, so if you ever have a small event, a large event, you can even rent this room or any of the other various rooms we have around this building for anything from a small gathering to a huge party or a concert. Please contact me and we can talk about that and get you all set up. So I have a few announcements to get things going of some upcoming exciting events. Next Saturday, June 4th, come on up here, Francesco. Next Saturday, June 4th, we're going to be having a concert. It's our friends Alethea Rising, and that's Dinah Snow and Sierra Samuel. They've been our special music many times, and their concerts are absolutely haunting. It's $12. You're not going to get more enjoyment out of $12 than showing up next Saturday at 7:30, and you can bring refreshments or beverages if you'd like to hang out and enjoy yourself. So then next Sunday from 12:30 to 2:30, we are going to be having a Qigong workshop led by a good friend of ours. I apologize if I don't get this perfect. Francesco Garipoli. Yeah, I know. I should be doing a lot better. Sorry. I'd like to welcome him. He's going to be teaching the class, and he's brought to he's a world-renowned Qigong teacher. So, Francesco, please let us know what's going to happen at this workshop.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you guys for the music too. You know, nobody's noticing there's this awesome music playing back here. And it's all about the vibration, right? It's all about the vibe, this beautiful place. Syntysche's talk and all the heart and intention is what makes our life. And that's what Qigong is about. So it's not so important that I've taught for over 30 years or that I've studied since I was 18 with elder masters in China and around the world. It's more that for me, Qigong is about heart resonance. And of course, it's about health. It's about boosting the immunity. It's about finding the most non-invasive ways to be healthy through lifestyle and through practical exercises. But it's really understanding where your heart resonance is. And that's why my dear friends Felicia and Tony, who have been members of Unity for a long, long time, bring me here, and while I'll be teaching here, teach anywhere, but it's all about the energy, it's all about the space, it's all about intention. So if you're interested in learning about how to tap into that heart resonance, and not just do moves. I'm not so interested in teaching somebody how to do a basic set of moves. It's more about what's behind the move, what's in your heart, and how to tap in the activation of chi. And that's what we'll be doing next week as a fundraiser too. So you have to know it's part of a fundraiser for Unity, which I love to be part of. So it's all part of it. So thank you. And we'll be teaching an instructor certification all this week downstairs. So as you are praying up here, downstairs there will be a beautiful group of people who will be going out in their communities around the country after they learn and get certified, including Felicia. So thank you very much. Thank you all.
Thank you, Francesco, very much. And that is at 12:30 next Sunday, so you don't even have to leave. It'll be almost immediately following the second service, so you can stick around for that. Next, we are currently holding an election for our board of directors that kind of make the big financial decisions around this whole church. We have a lot of people coming off the board. Usually we have 7 members, but we have 4 members leaving because they've all been serving way too long due to how hard it was to have an election during COVID. But there are ballots outside in the lobby. There's a little blurb for each of the people who are running. We'd love it if you could vote for 4 of the people that are on that ballot. And there's a little box out there that says vote. Please do that. It helps us out a lot. We really need our board of directors, and there's some great people on the ballot. So please check that out. And lastly, we're always asking for volunteers in various different spots in this building and on this property. But today I'm asking for volunteers. If anyone has a tech mind and would love to do a volunteer, say something like helping run our cameras or our lighting system, please come talk to me anytime today or during the week. I'd love to train someone on how to help around with a few of these tech spots that we have going on here. So now I'd like to welcome our special musician. Come back on out here. Rebecca Abraxas, who we've had many a time and will hopefully have many a time more. Rebecca, take it away.
When my heart begins to beat, then I know a word, a look, a tone. Here's the ugliness inside. No one's listening anymore. I can't feel you. There's no more compassion, only pain. Anger wins the blame. So I am reaching for my heart, who's gagged and bound. I am reaching for your love. I know it's somewhere. I am reaching for forgiveness. Words store carelessly where they land. The rants go on and on, no explanation. There's no communication, just deep frustration. These roots go deeper than these seeds, and no one's getting what they need. So I am reaching for my heart, who's gagged and bound. I am reaching for your love. I know it's so somewhere. I am reaching for forgiveness. Ooh, there's an end to this anger, I know, 'cause I saw it in my baby's eyes. And if you can't do it for me, then do it for the violence in the streets. So I am reaching for my heart, who's gagged and bound. I am reaching for your love. I know it's somewhere. I am reaching for, I am reaching for forgiveness.
Thank you, Rebecca. It's a beautiful way to start. Always is an amazing way to start with her beautiful music, and I love the harmonics that come out of her voice. She sings with the angels' assistance, it's clear, and she does do harmonic stuff I see it on Facebook or TikTok and stuff. She's just amazing. So I just love you, and I love that you answer the call when I need you to sing. She's like, yeah, I'll be there. It's wonderful. It's a great experience. So, good morning, everyone. Welcome to Unity, and I just want to invite you just to leave the world outside of these doors for this next 45 minutes and just come into the presence of this spirit of love that God moves in and through each and every one of us. We will discuss some of the things that have happened in the last week, but I want us to stay in a place where we don't lift into a state of adrenaline or fear, but merely contemplate what is growing in us as we are experiencing the discord of the world. And before I get started, I want to read a quote that says this: "This is the day we pay homage to all those who didn't come home. This is not Veterans Day, it's not a celebration. It is a day of solemn contemplation over the cost of freedom." And Maya Angelou wrote, "How important it is for us to recognize and celebrate our heroes and sheroes." So I want to recognize all the veterans that have served our country and those who've lost their lives, and your family members. You probably have parents, grandparents that have served. But we recognize them today, that they are true heroes, and we are very grateful for their service. Today my talk title is Spiritual Awakening. They never said that it was going to be easy. And boy, if we haven't had a few years of just more and more things that I think many of us leaned on for a happy life, and we've had to rely more and more on our relationship with Spirit or God or Source, whatever word makes you feel hugged and loved, to navigate the world at this time. I want to read this quote that Eckhart Tolle wrote. "Humanity as a whole has already gone through unimaginable suffering, mostly self-inflicted, the culmination of which was the 20th century with its unspeakable horrors. This collective suffering has brought upon a readiness in many human beings for the evolutionary leap that is spiritual awakening. For the evolutionary work that is spiritual awakening. This time of spiritual awakening is a magical experience at times and terrifying at others. This process at the core of every human being's quest is for freedom, love, and happiness. But how do we handle such a profound and spontaneous upgrade in consciousness in a world plagued by chaos, confusion, violence, materialism, and soul starvation? How do we find that awakening? You know, I know many of us collectively were together in consciousness and the participants living in a state of prayer and honoring of parents that are going through the worst days of grief. The burdens that we have all bared this week with a mass shooting on young children and 2 teachers in a classroom in Texas makes many of us feel like this spiritual seeking can feel fleeting and even sort of meaningless to many of us during times like these. Like, what is the point in all this? We wonder how we can seek this inner heart resonance sanctuary when young people are dying and Ukraine is being destroyed by the ego of another. Why is this outer picture so dire at the moment? And I had to sit with that. You know, I heard about the shooting on Wednesday, and I don't watch the news, actually. I just stopped. I can't do this work and watch the news anymore. It's just simply, I can't find that direct connection with Spirit and get the words to be written through my being. But I hear of these things because people messenger me stuff and they want to give me stories and things like that, which is nice and not. We are spiritual beings having a human experience, and we're always still going to have some of that human shrapnel part of it. So when I contemplate how we move forward during times like these, I refer to Jesus' teachings where he said, "Do to others as you would have them do to you." We can't justify or ever figure out what is in the mind of another, but we can take to task what we are bringing from our own heightened consciousness to our community and our world. It makes us feel less out of control of the things of the world. We can't figure out what is in the mind, and this is the month that is Mental Illness Awareness Month, which was kicked off by Naomi Judd taking her own life right at the very beginning of it, who is one of my idols. And she sang with her daughter for many, many years of their career, and so I have a connection with that, singing with my mother for all of my life. So I've been in a contemplation about all of it. And I went on a beautiful vacation, was able to leave it all, but that all happened actually while I was out of town. So Christ consciousness speaks about the awakening of the heart and the integration of opposites, the sacred union of spirit and flesh, inner and outer, light and dark. It's very non-dualistic and unifying. It's referring to meeting the grit and grime of life through the heart of love, devotion, courage, and the mystical surrender, as Jesus did. So for me to not turn on the news to find out every detail of what happened in that school, every horror, I did that because I can't stay connected in this resonance of love when I'm a mother and I can relate with what something like that could be like. I have to stay as the divine nature in me. Look upon the things that are beautiful, that are gorgeous, so I can bring that love still into this world regardless of what's going on in the outer. We really are only responsible for discovering who we are, our true self, that connection with this greater power, this greater love that divinely guides and directs all of it. We can take responsibility for our own actions in a world that can seem like it is falling apart. So we have to figure out how we keep from burning out our own inner light with so much influx from the lower nature of human beings. How do we keep the light burning within for bettering our world in spite of what is going on in the world? And I guess we have to find the freedom that comes from forgiveness. We see a lot of people coming up short, and it's affecting many, many people. So 2 weeks ago, a little bit over 2 weeks ago, I returned from Italy, and it was about 3 days after I got back, and my 2 teenagers were at school. And I was here at the office, and I got a recorded message from my son's Tyler's school that his school was in lockdown due to a present danger, and to please not come to the school as parents. It is in an active situation. That's all, and then the phone hangs up. So you can imagine how much PTSD every parent is feeling. This is the second time I've gotten this phone call in the last 8 years. So I called my son, thank God he had a cell phone, and he doesn't answer. And I start panicking, I call him, and then he finally answers. And the sound of his voice answering the phone, because it was his school, oh my God, there are no words. What it is like to hear his voice at that moment. I felt like, wow, welcome back to America. Coming from the most peaceful, most beautiful country, so conscious, so amazing in Italy, and coming back to this moment. I asked if I could, I said, are you okay, Ty? He said, yeah, we're sitting behind a counter. All of us are sitting on the floor right now. I said, can you hear anything? He said, we haven't heard any gunshots, but there's probably like 500 police officers in this school right now. So I said, can I speak with your teacher? And he said, yes. And the teacher says, hello. And I can tell she's trying to sound calm, but she's not. And I say, are you okay? And she says, there are police everywhere, and that makes me feel good, and we haven't heard any gunshots. She proceeds to say her own child is in another classroom, and she starts crying. and her voice changes. I now find myself in a ministerial role calming her down to keep it together for her to be making my child, and the other children feel calm in this moment. At the time I'm talking to this teacher, my phone starts lighting up, and it's Michelle, who's the head of our Sunday school, and her son goes to the same school. Oh my God, has Tyler answered the phone? And I said, he has answered the phone. She's like, Michael's not answering his phone. And she goes, is there any way Michael's in Tyler's class? Because they're in one class together. And I call Ty back and say, no, he's not in my class. The whole thing is I've got volunteers in the bookstore. I'm there. I'm going into this panic place. And Steve Hayes, my assistant, goes, let's circle up and let's pray. It's so nice to have that spiritual warrior that takes you out of that moment where you're climbing into absolute fear and what if and how or whatever you do when we go into the state of fight or flight. We circle up with Deb King and Heather, Steve, and my husband and I, and he was so calm, just surrounding that school in the light, the teachers' light, the police, that everything is going to come out okay. It helped me so much to stay in faith and just stay in the light and just projecting that energy of healing and wholeness for that moment. It wasn't for another hour we were told that the school was not in lockdown anymore. They had apprehended the student that did have a gun, and nobody got hurt. So when this happened, obviously, on Wednesday, when somebody says that, it's like, I haven't lost my child to something like this, but I have experienced what it feels like to have being out of control. Obviously, it's going to give keys to my son. That also makes you feel out of control. There's a lot of things about teenage years as a parent that's hard. It's not easy. There's the teenage years, I'd take baby time every day of the week. Keep me up all night. But the not being able to control everything, it's definitely a faith process. So the spiritual advice about how to respond to spiritual crisis can be found in St. Paul's letter to the Ephesians, and it says this, and this is kind of intense wording, but we're going to break it down. Finally, be strong in the Lord and in the strength of his power. Put on the whole armor of God so that you may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil. For our struggle is not against enemies of blood and flesh, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the cosmic powers of this present darkness, against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly places. Therefore, take up the whole armor of God, so that you may be able to withstand on that evil day, and having done everything, to stand firm. You don't hear Bible quotes like that very often, do you here? Makes you feel warm and squishy, doesn't it? But in unity, we have the 5 basic unity principles. And the first basic principle says, God is good. God is absolute good and everywhere present. There's only one power and one presence active in the universe and in my life. God, the good, omnipotent. God is the source and creator of all. There is no other enduring power. God is good and present everywhere. So we look to our metaphysical Bible dictionary here that was written by our co-founder, Charles Fillmore, and we can look up words like evil and devil and what are some of the other fun words that's in this thing? Darkness, all of it. And I rewrote this Bible quote. This is how we can use our Bible all the way through and have it relate with life. Because the Bible, every single story is about us. It's about overcoming the ego. It's about overcoming fear. It's about overcoming struggle. It's about moving into this greater power so that we may live in this beautiful, authentic, heart-resonant place in life, regardless of what's happening on the outside. So I'm going to leave that up, and I'm going to read what I wrote. So you can look at the words, and I'll read how you would rewrite this Bible story from a metaphysical point of view. Finally, be strong in Christ's consciousness and in the strength of this power. Put on the whole armor of this divine essence or presence, so that you may be able to stand against fear and anger. For our struggle is not against enemies of blood and flesh, but against the ego, which can enslave us, against the cosmic powers of the present error in consciousness, against the misuse of spiritual forces in the heavenly places. Therefore, take up the whole armor of Christ consciousness so that you may be able to withstand on that inharmonious day, and having done everything, to stand firm in the truth. Which is still saying God is good. And anything that is not of good is in error. It is in a consciousness that's not been developed in a soul. And it could be an illness, which could be a mental illness. But it's not of God, the devil, and the darkness. Those are not of God. And the devil is the lower nature of the human experience. It's the lower part of ourselves that seeks revenge, seeks an eye for an eye, right? You know, it seeks the, you see the speck in somebody else's eye when you have a logjam in your own kind of energy, right? So we take this into our hearts, being strong in our Christ consciousness. And you still do have the right to go out and vote and march, whatever you feel is right to go about these present situations. But do it from a well of divine presence. Don't hold anger in your heart, or you are adding to the problems of this world, to the vibration of this world, which is the evil, which is the lower nature. You have to do it from divine love and in faith and being blown from the back by Spirit as you do these good works. Bring love to all that is being called right now, and let the phoenix rise from the ashes. Let the phoenix rise from these ashes. So in a nutshell, Christ consciousness speaks about the awakening of the heart and the integration of opposites, the sacred union of spirit and flesh, inner and outer, light and darkness. Emily Cady says it this way in the book Lessons in Truth. If you keep your thoughts turned toward the external of yourself or of others, you will see only the things that are not real, but temporal and that pass away. All the faults, failures, or lacks in people or circumstances will seem very real to you, and you will be unhappy and sick. If you turn your thoughts away from the external toward the spiritual and let them dwell on the good in yourself and in others, all the apparent evil or inharmony will first drop out of your thoughts and then out of your life. Paul understood this when he wrote to the Philippians, "Finally, beloved, whatever is true, whatever is honorable, whatever is just, whatever is pure, whatever is pleasing, whatever is commendable, if there is any excellence and if there is anything worthy of praise, think about these things." So this kind of speaks to the idea of why I don't watch the news. What am I bringing to my mothering, or to my marriage, or to my ministry, or to my parents? If I'm looking to the ills of the world and I'm not looking to what is still powerful and beautiful, right? Living in the moment. There are no promises for tomorrow. I don't like that, and that sounds, but it's the truth. Are we living fully realized each day, knowing thyself, living thy truth, speaking thy truth, and feeling that freedom as you go forward in life, right? So we focus on our own personal awakening, recognizing the feelings that come from awakening, feeling a sense of connection with everyone, letting go of attachments, finding inner peace in spite of the world, being led by your intuition, recognizing all the synchronicities, feeling your increased compassion, removing the fear of death. You see, we still live in the world of humanity, and at certain times we will fall short of what we think of as the spiritual ideal. When we find ourselves immersed in pain, for example, it becomes virtually impossible for us to move in and from awakened consciousness. So really, it's taking to task what's not healed in your own personal experience, right? We don't have to look at the ills of the world to have to identify with what's unhealed in us. what has grief in us, what is still having a voice that's not really serving the light in your life. Taking the time while these things are happening in the world and healing yourself so that what you are bringing, what you are adding unto your world, to your kids, to your spouses, healing thyself is the greatest virtue that there is spiritually. Knowing thyself. And then most importantly, loving thyself. As much as you love yourself is how much you love God, because you were made from that perfection, from that love. We can have compassion, but we don't have bleeding hearts where we have to relive what those people are going through. We've all been through very tragic things in our lives. Nobody really gets through life without some sort of tragedies. So let's heal those pieces in ourselves so that we come fully realized into this world and not fragmented and broken versions of what our potential is. In Radical Forgiveness by Colin Tipping, it says this. Oh, I guess I didn't get this one. That's important. I'll read it. How many of you are aware of a quickening or a speed up in our spiritual evolution? And that we are being asked by Spirit to move more quickly through our lessons in preparation for a profound shift of some kind. There is almost a unanimous concurrence. More and more people now talk openly and freely about always being in touch with their guidance and are willing to trust it more each day. The veil between the two worlds is definitely thinning. We have greater access to healing these fragmented areas I was just talking about in our own lives because the veil is thin. And we can contact our spirit guides, our family members that have crossed over that really get what the whole human experience is about and kind of move in and through our world so we don't have to be constantly pushing the rock up the mountain till it could just crush us. In fact, we could just start flowing and letting the knowledge just move in and through us and asking Spirit to move our lives, put us where we're needed, say through me what I need to do. Whatever it is, open up to that which is being called for your life. But we need to witness our grief also during times like this, because then if we don't at least feel the grief that we're feeling from these experiences, then we are denying ourselves. So we're not living in our true selves. Grief is part of the healing process. Right? I had to write this sermon after I'd heard what happened at that school. And then when I was done with it, then I let myself sit and feel how much it bothered me, what happened there. And I cried and I cried and I cried and I cried for those mothers and those fathers and those grandparents. But I knew I had to stay in the highest consciousness to get this sermon written before I had to feel my own depth of fear of loss of children and things that we have from our life. And as parents, the second we birth a child, we're just afraid that something's gonna happen to them. That's like the scariest part. You're like, oh, I love him so much. And it's like, oh my God, if something ever happened to this thing that just entered my life would be over. It's like a yin and yang. It's that whole light and darkness. Everything has a counterpart. Everything has a counter emotion. From all that love is fear that something could take that love away. So I cried for the mothers and the grandmothers and the fathers and the teachers and all the people that witnessed something like this. So we need to witness our grief during times like these. Sit by the rivers. We have the most beautiful rivers here. Put your feet in the water. I did that 2 days ago. In the blazing sun, I just put my feet in the water till my feet were numb, and I just visualized that energy that was unsettled, fearful, you name it, and I let it go into the water. So Mother Earth could recycle and renew that energy and go back into that good energy. Take it out of my body because it's not serving me walking around in this fragmented, fearful place of the world. And let Mother Earth hold us and walk us through the days after we're in the shock of these kind of situations that are happening. So my friend Wendy Littlepage, who attends here and also takes Nia with me a couple times a week, she sent me an article about the difference and similarities of Buddha nature and Christ consciousness. And I'm going to read a little bit of this because I thought it was really interesting. It was written by Alethea Luna, and she was the guest writer on an article called Wake Up World. I'm sure you've heard the expression Buddha nature or Buddha mind spoken about before. In fact, it's far more likely in my experience to hear of this Buddhist-sounding phrase than the term Christ consciousness. Sometimes these two terms are used synonymously, and on an absolute level, I can see why such phrases are used interchangeably. They're pointing to the same one truth. But is there a little difference? Yes, I do believe that there's a subtle difference between Christ consciousness and Buddha nature. Furthermore, in my perspective, understanding the difference between these two ideas can help us understand what we might have glimpsed or experienced on our own spiritual awakening journey. When we look at the two distinctly unique figures of Siddhartha Gautama Buddha and Jesus of Nazareth, Jesus Christ, we can immediately see a difference, which I'll summarize in the bullet points below. Buddha. Peace, serenity, silence, stillness, concentration, meditation. The symbols for Buddha are the lotus flower, the Dharma wheel, and the Bodhi tree. Jesus. Jesus. Pain, suffering, torture, pierced heart, faith, ascension. And the symbols are the cross, the lamb, the sacred heart, and the fish. In the above very simplistic, very brief breakdown of Jesus and Buddha, we can see clearly a difference. Buddha's a pretty chill dude, she writes. But Jesus, well, it seems like he got the short end of the stick, doesn't it? He's in the whole world of pain and torment in a lot of images that we see of him. And yet, despite this blatant contrast, both are pointing to something that lies beyond the individual ego self. In fact, many of their sayings are similar. Take the following quotes, for example. In Luke 6:31, it says, "Do to others as you would have them do to you." Buddha, consider others as yourself. In Luke 6:29, if anyone strikes you on the cheek, offer the other also. And then Buddha, if anyone should give you a blow with his hand, with a stick, or with a knife, you should abandon any desire and utter no evil words. So there are a whole bunch of other parallel sayings edited by Marcus Borg, far more examples, but the above should suffice to show their similarities. So then, recognizing both the similarities and differences between both Jesus and Buddha, where does Christ consciousness differ from Buddha's nature? In a nutshell, Christ consciousness speaks about the awakening of the heart and the integration of opposites, the sacred union of spirit and flesh, inner and outer, light and darkness. It's very non-dualistic and unifying. So you've heard me say that a few times, so you just get that. How do we get into the balance of both? The yin and yang is part of life. And it seems to be more of it now because we're heading for this great awakening. Buddha nature, on the other hand, refers to the awakening of the mind, which we can see represented in the iconography of Buddhism and in Buddhist teachings. Instead of integration, Buddha nature is about transcending desire, ego, attachment, and rediscovery of primordial consciousness. So there's the one form of awakening that Jesus shows us, which is love, devotion, courage, and surrender. The other form of awakening comes through establishing mental clarity, detachment, and mindfulness as exemplified by Buddha. I have this whole article. It's a really long article. I just wanted to share that with you. But when we think about the suffering of Jesus, and we don't really talk about that because in unity we focus on the resurrection, we don't focus on the death. We understand that the death is a representation of ourselves when the old limited belief systems and the old ideas about self fall away and the phoenix rises anew into the Christ consciousness of what we are here so that we can work the same miracles as he did, which he promised we could. But he was on the cross as the egos put him on the cross, and he said this, "Father, forgive them, for they do not know what they do." There's a typo there, but we'll look past it. I forgive whoever did that. Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. They know not what they do. So I guess it's kind of like when we see these horrible things happen in this world. Father, forgive this person because something's not right. Something's in error. But it's not some punishing God that's trying to do horrible things to children. It's that people are teetering on the edge of sanity because of the levels of what's happening in the world, and some people aren't making it. Some people are checking out early because it's too much to handle. So it's important, forgiveness, because forgiveness transforms anger and hurt into healing and peace. Forgiveness can help you overcome feelings of depression, anxiety, fear, as well as personal and relational conflicts. It is about making the conscious decision to let go of a grudge or a hatred towards another. We don't have to figure out why somebody would do something like that. We can try to make laws that'd be less hard to do something like that. So we have to remember that in that earlier quote, it said, "Finally, beloved, whatever is true, whatever is honorable, whatever is just, whatever is pure, whatever is pleasing, whatever is commendable, if there is any excellence, if there is anything worth of praise, think about these things." So I'm just going to take you into a singing meditation, and I'm going to invite my mom out here to sing with me. And I thought we could really just visualize peace entering the hearts and minds of all people. You know, seeing love enfolding the mothers and the fathers and the grandfathers and the grandmothers who are facing the dark days of grief. Giving the light of protection, the light of God surrounds them, the love of God enfolds them, the power of God protects them, and the presence of God watches over you. Wherever you are, God is. And some of you know this song. You can sing with us if you want to. so it is. We'll take an offering for unity now.
Talk that was. And it becomes more important as we put those principles to work in our own lives. We will have experiences proving the importance of the spiritual journey, which involves forgiveness. It involves compassion, everything Syntysche said, to let go of that part of the world and bring our own consciousness into the awareness of the presence of the divine. Whether you look upon the divine as Christ or Buddha, Lao Tzu, or any one of the master teachers down through the ages, they're all actually saying the same thing. So, what a blessing it is, and we should be very grateful to have the opportunity to hear that truth being shared here, which is shared every day in unity. With that in mind, I'd like to remind you that are watching this on screen, you have these different ways that you can tithe to Unity of Boulder. And those of you that are here, if you want to make a tithe directly, we will have the people passing the baskets around, or if you want to dip your credit card in the dip jar on the desk in the lobby. Let's all just bring to mind that financial gift we'd like to give to Unity of Boulder. And let's bless that gift with this offering prayer. Divine love, through me, blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive, because I give. And so it is. And we have Rebecca Praxis again. We are so blessed. We get her twice today. All right. Love having this incredible singer with us.
Thank you, Jack. Little braids dangled down, curled up like a ball. She weeps into her little hands. She's feeling it all. She's feeling it all. Stands up bright as the sun, fresh as a new day. Weeping is now done. Grief not here to stay. Grief not here to stay. Move through the day. Nothing is ever here to stay. Come through back to you. See what you can undo to come back to you. Fists clenched and drenched with rage, spitting words to defend. Caught in his own cage, peace will depend. Peace will depend. Climbing up the scale, taking a new view. Hope is our lifted sail. Light is breaking through. Light is breaking through. Move through the day. Nothing is ever here to stay. Come through back to you. See what you can undo to come back to you. Climbing up is our lifted sail. Light is breaking through. Light is breaking through. Move through the day. Nothing is ever here to stay. Come through back to you. See what you can undo to come back to you.
So we're going to rise and we're going to close with Let There Be Peace on Earth. And we have food and refreshments after the service in the fellowship hall. And you don't want to miss this concert this Saturday. It's just a wonderful experience. It will be in the fellowship hall, and if it's warm outside, we'll open all the doors, and we'll feel like we're outdoors. And you can bring wine, you can bring whatever you want to share with your friends that you sit with. And the tickets are $12 in the bookstore.
We have prayer partners. For those of you that are facing a challenge you'd like to pray with someone about, our prayer partners are there for you. If you want to have a prayer partner share a prayer with you, just remain seated as everyone files out, and our prayer partners will come to you, share a prayer with you. And if you wish, you can even go downstairs to our meditation room and share that prayer.
All right. Join us for fellowship. We'll be right over there.